Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. It's me, I'm your host Tiffany, and I'm back with another movie review for you guys. Um, isn't this just great? This is just the day that we get to relax and talk about TV and movies and all things entertainment. And yeah, hopefully you guys have been having a good week. It's been really busy for me, so I feel like this is kind of doing this podcast is kind of almost like a cool down for me to just be able to talk about things that I like or things that I'm interested in and all that good stuff. So if you've been following me, you know that I have been doing quite a bit of movie reviews. Hopefully, you guys like those. Let me know what you think. Um, I really started this podcast on TV shows, which is I still really love TV shows. It just hasn't really been one I feel like that I've been super into to the point where I really want to talk about it. Besides Stranger Things, but that's obviously on a hiatus right now. So I think once my TV shows come back, you'll see me talking about TV a little bit more. But for right now, I've just been kind of tuning into a bunch of movies and movies that I kind of missed out on over the last maybe like couple years, few years, and trying to kind of catch up with like some of the new ones that have come out. So today I will be talking about Scream 5. And in my last episode, um, I did a movie review for Teen Wolf the movie, which is streaming on Paramount Plus. If you missed that episode, you can go back and watch it. Um, so I had watched Teen Wolf the movie, and then afterwards, I was kind of scrolling through because I don't usually use Paramount Plus. So I have like a free trial, and I was kind of like, okay, let me see what else is on here. And I see Scream 5 is on there. I'm like, okay, I gotta watch it. Like, gotta watch it. Gotta do a movie review since I'm definitely gearing up for Scream 6, which is coming out next month. I believe it's March 10th, and I already have a ticket ready. Yes, best believe we're going opening night. So. You guys will be on the lookout for that because I'll definitely be doing a movie review for Scream 6. So I'm really excited for that. But I was like, I gotta watch Scream 5 before I see Scream 6. So I gotta know what's going on. Because clearly, the same new characters that they bring in for Scream 5 are gonna be in Scream 6. So I felt like, um, kind of need to know what's going on there because I really have not watched um Scream since Scream 4, and I only watched it once, and I've gone on record saying this a few times that I wasn't really crazy about Scream 4. I just remember like coming out of the theater feeling a little disappointed, I guess, by the way it ended and who the murderer was. Like, it just didn't feel that great to me. I don't know. But I haven't watched it since, so maybe I will go back and rewatch that just to kind of see if I have a new perspective on it. But anyway, I saw Scream 5 was on Paramount Plus, and I was like, okay, gotta watch it. So I watched it last week, and here I am today. We're gonna be talking about this today, and maybe how it connects, how it could possibly connect to Scream 6. And I really want to hear your guys' theories on who you think the next Ghostface killer could be, and where you think this franchise could go, possibly. Because I'm pretty sure, like I'm 99.9% sure that after Scream 6 comes out, there will be a 7. I mean, I don't think that's been confirmed yet, but I just feel like in the direction that they're going, there will be another one. Um, so I think we still have at least one more movie after this one. So I'm curious to hear what you guys think about the franchise and just the direction it's moving in. If you've been a fan since the beginning, like what do you think about the newer movies in comparison to maybe like the first three? And what do you guys think about the new characters that they brought in for this one? I want to hear all that if you guys have seen it. Um, and as always, I'm going to kind of try to talk in general about the movie, maybe for like the first 5 or 10 minutes. So for those of you who haven't seen it, you're safe to hear this part, but then I will transition over into talking about spoilers, and I'll let you know. So that way, if you want to click out of it and come back to this video later, you can. As you guys know, all of my podcast episodes are uploaded on YouTube at my page, Tiffany's TVscape. And then, they're always on Facebook, on my Facebook page by the same name. And then I upload on Spotify and Anchor as well for people who just are more of audio listeners and you kind of just want to listen to the podcast. You can listen to it on there as well. So anyway, let's get into it. So I will say overall that I feel like I enjoyed this Scream better than Scream 4. Again, I haven't seen Scream 4 since like 2011, whatever year it came out. I'm pretty sure it came out when I was still in high school. So maybe that's not a fair comparison because I don't fully remember what happened in Scream 4. But I just feel like I probably enjoyed this one a little bit better, and I'll tell you why. So I think with this one, they were clearly referencing the first Scream a lot. And like a lot of the connections really all went back to the first movie, and I liked how they tied that in. Even with bringing in new characters, it still felt like a Scream movie. And I think a lot of times with franchises, sometimes you have like this really great cast, and then when they bring in new characters, it feels a little off, where you're kind of like, oh, this doesn't feel like the movies that I originally watched. But it didn't feel like that with this one. So I think if you're a fan of the original, you'll probably like this one. Or if you're just a fan in general of Scream franchise, I feel like people will probably, I heard it got good reviews, so I feel like people will like this if you haven't seen it yet. um and so yeah, so if you haven't seen the first Scream, this one maybe, like, parts of it probably wouldn't make sense to you because of the references that they talk about, and different names that are brought up from the past, and you're like, oh, that's so and so from the first one or from the second one. So yeah, I like the way they connected everything with that. And I guess without giving too much away, because I do want to talk a little bit more about details, but I'll get into that more later. um I actually like the new characters. I would say especially the two main girls, Tara and Sam. So they're sisters, and the story really, I guess it really starts and kind of evolves around them now. So I don't think this is much of a spoiler if I just talk about the way it starts. The opening scene is clearly a homage to the first one. If you guys remember in the first Scream, the infamous scene with Drew Barrymore when she's at home all alone, and then Ghostface calls her, and he starts messing with her, and all this stuff unravels, and then she gets killed. It's pretty much like that in the beginning of Scream 5, only Tara does survive in this, but poor girl is like, she spends like most of her time in the hospital, to be honest, throughout the movie. But it starts with her. She gets attacked, which prompts a call to her older sister Sam, and she finds out that, like, her friend group pretty much calls her and is like, hey, your sister got attacked, like, you should come and see her, she's in the hospital, type of thing. And she tells her boyfriend Richie, she's like, yeah, I gotta go see my sister. And you kind of already get the feel that, that maybe they're not close, or, something happened there for her to not be there, because she's living in a different city. Tara is in Woodsboro, um, which is where the original Scream is. And I should say that's where it was set in the first one. And then, if you guys remember in the second one, Sydney goes off to college, so that it happens in different places. But the original one is Woodsboro, which is like the city, the little town that they live in, basically. It's a fictional town. And so that prompts her to go there. And that's kind of like where the story starts. And I would say things really pick up when we start to see the OG characters brought in. Again, hopefully this is not too much of a spoiler, but Dewey is in the movie, Sydney comes back, and then Gail is in it. And I think if you guys have seen the Scream 6 trailer, which I reacted to in one of my previous podcast episodes, Gail is in Scream 6. So I don't really think that's much of a spoiler. But they bring in the OG characters, and there's kind of like a mix going on there, which I thought was pretty cool. And it was very like nostalgic to see them back in the movies. But at the same time, I was like, man, leave these people alone. Like, they've been through this, I don't know how many times. They've been like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're the OG, so they have faced several different ghost faces, and they've all gone on to like live their own lives. Like, Sydney has a family, she's married and everything. Gail is still a journalist and doing her thing on the news. And then poor Dewey is like all alone because him and Gail are not together anymore. But anyway, they all have like their own lives. So it's like partly you're kind of just like, dang, like dragging them in this again. It kind of feels like, it almost feels like, the whole Michael Myers thing with bringing in Jamie Lee Curtis again, and her having to deal with like Michael Myers over and over. It's like that one character that can never just be left alone. That's what it feels like with Sydney. But Sydney is that girl. Like, she's one of the final girls, meaning like she's one of the girls in like horror history that has always survived. So, it's not really a question of if Ghostface is going to get her. It's more like, when is she going to get Ghostface, because she gets him every single time in every single movie. So I'm sorry, let me make sure my phone is on mute here so we don't be getting bothered. But yeah, she's a final girl. So I was like, seeing her back was just like cool to see her again. It wasn't really like, oh, is she gonna get got this time around? I was like, girl, like you've been through hell and back. There's no way Ghostface, this new Ghostface, is gonna get you this time. Um, so I think they did a good job of mixing like the new characters with the old characters, and like I said, making it kind of all go back to the first movie, because it really all started with Sydney. It started with um, her mom had an affair, and the guy that she had an affair with was Billy's dad. Is it his dad? Yeah, Billy's dad. And Billy pretty much builds up all this like resentment and revenge for like Sydney and her whole family. And of course, Sydney doesn't know any of that. She doesn't really find out that till the end. But he ends up dating Sydney, and he just like screws her over big time, literally and figuratively. And yeah, that's really where it all started. So it really all started with her, and like I said, it was glad to see her, all three of them, really, to see all the original people back in there. And then even like the old house that like Randy, I think Randy lived there, and where they had the party at in the first movie, like some of the new characters are living there, which is like crazy to see, because I'm like, you know, a bunch of murders happened here, like why is this house still standing? I don't know why they do that. I know this is just a movie, but like, you ever notice like there's a house or a place where like horrible things happen, and it's still there like years and years later, and it's like, why is this still a thing? Like tear that place down. Bad energy all around. But they do say, I believe in the movie, that it's been 25 years since the first Ghostface killings, you know, from the first Scream. So it's been a really long time. Now, obviously, there were other murders that happened because of, you know, Scream 2 and 3 and 4. And if you guys remember, there is like a franchise within the franchise. So within the Scream movies, there are movies called Stab, which is based off of what really happened with Sydney and everything in the first one. And they've gone on, and again, that's referenced in this one. They've gone on to make like 8 different movies. And it's funny because they say in this one that like Stab 8 was like horrible, and it was like the worst one in the franchise. And they're like, this one completely veered off from every other movie, and people hated it and everything, and people were really upset about it. And I felt like that was kind of like, you know, it was kind of like making fun of the way franchises can. I think they tend to do that, especially when movies go on past like 3, and when they start doing like 4, 5, 6, and 7 and 8. And again, when you bring, sometimes when you bring in new characters or you try to tell a different story, it ends up just like not fitting in with the other movies, and then people are like, "Oh, you ruined the franchise. This isn't good anymore." Like they completely ruined Jeepers Creepers, and I talked about that too in another episode. Um, the third and the fourth, I think it's the third and the fourth one, were like completely horrible, to the point where it was like laughable. Like this is not even scary. Like this is just funny. So that does tend to happen in real life, and I think they were kind of like making fun of that. At least that's the way I interpreted it. And also, and that plays into why there is another ghost face in this one too, but I won't say fully what it is because that's a spoiler. Um but yeah, like I said, I think this one did a good job at, it was really like a dedication to Wes Craven. And I believe they put that at the end of the movie in the credits, because Wes Craven did pass away, I believe, in 2015 or 16 or something like that. So I think this was the first Scream movie that they did without him. Um and it, like I said, it was really like, you know, paying respects to him and the work that he put in with the first one, and kind of just like the world that he created with this whole franchise. And so they're, you know, they're continuing on without him, and that's why I feel like Scream 6 is going to be really different, because he's not a part of it. And it's not, it's that, you know, that one's not going to be dedicated to him. Like this one was clearly for him, and to pay respect to him, and to honor the first movie. But I feel like Scream 6 will definitely venture out, and I think that's why, just by like the trailer, I think that's why it's going to be different. Hopefully a good different, but I feel like it's going to be pretty different than all the other movies. But we'll see next month. But yeah, I feel like that's kind of all I could say in general without spoiling anything. I recommend going to see the movie, or not going to see it, but I recommend seeing it if you have not seen it. And if you're a fan of Scream as a whole, I think you'll enjoy the fifth one. And like I said, I like Tara and Sam. I mean, the other people are okay too, but they're obviously like the main girls. They're like the main characters now. So I like them. And then I like that they're sisters, and that, you know, how they kind of have this like, they kind of have this I don't want to say that they're estranged, but it's something between them, and I can't say it without spoiling it. That kind of, I guess, has kept them apart for a little bit. And so, with all this happening, obviously they come back together and they're kind of like fighting Ghostface, as a group or as a duo and stuff. So yeah, I did like it. And I'm glad that the franchise is still going on, even though like sometimes I do say that I think movies tend to keep going on for a little bit for too long. But I feel like just Scream has always been like my favorite horror franchise, especially because back then I really didn't watch horror like at all, and so Scream was like one of those movies that I felt like it was still scary to me, but I still enjoyed it, if that makes sense. Like I felt like out of all the horror movies, especially growing up, I felt like that was the one I really tolerated the most, and the one that was kind of, it has a really good mix of, and even in this one too, it's like horror obviously, but there's like a mix of comedy, and because the movie is starring like teenagers, there's going to be like a little bit of drama, and it has this like, they've always, Scream has always been really good at their characters being like super aware to the point where it kind of comes off as like being funny. Like the whole thing about, oh, this is what happens in horror movies, and like the number one rule is that you can't do this and you have to do that, and they kind of like poke fun, but it I don't know, it just works for the franchise. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I liked it. I give it a thumbs up, and let me know like what you guys think of it. You can leave a comment down below, or message me or hit me up or anything like that if you've seen the movie or if you plan on seeing it. What you think? And if y'all are going to see Scream 6, like let me know because I'm really excited about it. And I honestly, I want to kind of talk theories a little bit with somebody. I don't know if I'll make it like a whole podcast episode. I don't really know if it's worth that, but like, for us fellow Scream fans, like I want to know what you guys think. Like, what do you think is going to happen? How do you think this is gonna, how do you think the next one is going to connect to this one, and maybe even connect to like the first one? Um, I just want to know like what direction you think they are going in with these movies, because I'm really curious to see what's going to happen. And yeah, I'll wrap up the non spoiler talk there. And before I transition over into spoilers, I did want to let you guys know that my podcast is sponsored by Streann Media. So if you guys don't know what that is, you can check it out for yourself. Go to studio.streann.com, and you will get access to a free online platform where you can create your own podcast. You could do live streaming, and it doesn't have to be through Facebook. You can go through YouTube, and they're adding some more features. I think with like TikTok and Instagram, you can do Twitch, which I know a lot of people are into gaming right now. And I kind of want to get into that a little bit. It seems kind of interesting. I don't know. But yeah, you can check it out yourself. It's pretty simple and easy to use. It's what I do to go live every week. So thank you to Stream Media for sponsoring this podcast. And now we will transition over into the real good talk. So I'm warning you guys now. Click out of the video if you don't want to hear about what actually happens in Scream 5. So let me just say this. Let me just start off with like the thing that actually like I said overall that I did like the movie for sure, but the one thing that actually bothered me, and I was really like, come on now, you guys, was the way Dewey died. Okay, yes, so Dewey is gone. Like I don't think, I mean, they didn't show him in the Scream 6 trailer. So I feel like I don't know if they'll really, because you know how like sometimes in horror movies like they'll kill somebody off and then the next one they're still there. So I don't know if there's a chance that they will bring him back. I feel like he's probably for real gone. Because he got for real in this one. And it wasn't so much that I was mad that he got killed. Because I kind of felt like they probably were gonna do that. I'm like, you're bringing back some of the originals. Like, one of you guys is probably not gonna make it out of this. And I think too, they're trying to make way for the new characters, like kind of pushing the story along because now it's a new generation. Now you got, you know, they're going after new people. It's a whole new like crowd. It's a new ghost face, all that kind of stuff. So I'm not really surprised that they did that. I'm not even really mad at it because I know, at some point you're like, we've been doing these movies since like 1996. I'm sure they want to kind of like move on and maybe not do the movies anymore, and the only way to really do that is to kill off the character. So again, not really mad at that, but it was like the way he died, and if you guys seen the movie, like, you know what I'm talking about. So I'll try to explain it the best I can. So they're at the hospital, right? Poor Tara has been attacked. She was attacked in the beginning of the movie, and I think she gets attacked like later on too, but she's like spending most of her time in the hospital throughout this whole movie. um And it's one of those things too. This is another thing I hate in horror movies. You guys let me know if you know what I'm talking about. So there's a scene where she's like, Tara's in the hospital, and you know that like red button that you click when you need help or when you need like a nurse or something like that. She's clicking it, and first of all, nobody's coming, and it's like, really, clicking the button, nobody's coming. She's like jacked up, like her leg is broken, her arm is all wrapped up, like she's been like, really roughed up pretty badly, and so it's really hard for her to move. And she is able to actually kind of like get up a little bit and get herself in the wheelchair, and she's struggling and rolling herself really slow. And she gets to the door and she looks out in the hallway and like nobody's around, and it's literally like dead silent. It's quiet. It's kind of dark in there. Nobody's around. I'm like, first of all, again, I know this is a movie, but I'm like, first of all, you're in a hospital. Anybody that's actually been in a hospital, you would know that like nurses and doctors come in like every hour to check on you. Like there's always somebody in a hospital, there's always somebody passing by. Even a lot of times when you're in a room, like you're sharing it with another patient. So I'm like, don't do that. Do not tell me that nobody is in the hospital. Like the fact, and it's not even funny. It's just like so dumb because I'm like the fact that she got attacked and there's supposed to be security or at least one person like guarding her door and nobody's around. Don't play in my face like that because that's not, no, do not do that. But even she was like, oh hell no, like I'm getting out of here, like nobody's around. And I think, I don't remember exactly, but I don't know if it's like she hears a noise or she just has a feeling that like something's off basically. And um and she's like, no, I'm getting out of here. Like, what the heck? I'm not sticking around to die. So she's in the wheelchair and she's trying to like wheel herself out. And then she comes out to find that I think it's the security guard or somebody that works there is dead. So you know for a fact that Ghostface Ghostface is there, and that he's taken out probably a few people. But still, it still didn't make sense that like nobody was around. I was like, come on now. But anyway, so she's like, oh shoot, like he's here, he or she is here. um and so Sam and Dewey are together and they're in the car and they're racing on their way to the hospital to get Tara, because I think at that point they know that he's probably like gonna go after her again, right? So Ghostface like catches up to Tara, and then he gets the phone. He's like messing with Sam, and he's like, you're gonna choose between like your sister or your boyfriend, because her boyfriend Richie is there too. I forgot. And like playing the game on the phone, messing with her and everything. And they make it in time, and they save Tara, and they're all going in the elevator. And then the way they make it out is because I think Dewey like shoots Ghostface or something like that. And so they go to the elevator and they're on their way, like they're there to escape, like they're about to escape. And then Dewey goes like, oh wait, no, no, like I need to make sure, and it's one of those things where they're like super aware, the characters are like way too aware of the movie, where he's like, actually, no, like I need to make sure the Ghostface is dead. And the rule is like, you have to make sure they're dead by like shooting them in the head or like something like extreme, so you know for a fact that they're not coming back. And he goes back. He's the only one that goes back because they're leaving. And again, like that makes sense because it's like Dewey has been through this so many times. Like he knows, like, okay, I shot you once, you're not dead. Even though Ghostface is like sitting on the floor, like sitting there like this. But it's like, come on, that's not, that they're not really dead. That's too easy, right? So I'm like, okay, that's smart. Like, make sure Ghostface is dead, shoot them in the head, whatever, do what you got to do. So he goes up to Ghostface and he's like, I think he takes his gun out, or he's going to take his gun out or something. And right when he's about to shoot again, his phone goes off. And I don't remember if it's a text message like notification or like his phone is ringing. I think it's a text or something like that, but it goes off and he gets distracted for that 1 second. And that 1 second, Ghostface gets up and stabs him. I was like, bro, are you serious? There is no way y'all are taking out Dewey just because he got distracted by his phone. That's how he dies? Like, what? I was like, really? Really? Like, this is like, and despite what people say, like, Dewey is not stupid. He wasn't the smartest character throughout the franchise, but he's not dumb. And the fact that he's like older and he's been through this so many times, like, come on, you're about to shoot the killer again to make sure they're dead. And you look down at your phone because your phone goes off. Like, how does that make sense? There's no way you're going to get that distracted. Like, no. Dewey's not that. He's not that dumb. They just made him look really dumb by doing. It's like, why would they do that? Oh my god, I was so mad that he went out that way. So anyway, as you can imagine, he gets stabbed, and he's been, keep in mind, he's been stabbed like, I was gonna say 5 times, maybe even more than that, throughout the, like, in a combination of all the other movies. He's been stabbed like multiple times, and he probably had like surgery and all this stuff. Like, ain't nobody got a time for all that. So I'm like, at this point, like, you're done for, because like, you get stabbed again, you're not healing after this. Like, you were young back then. He's older now, and he's like broken down and everything, and he has that limp and stuff. And I'm like, come on now, like, y'all could have made him go out in a better way. At least I think it would have been better if he went out like in a heroic way, like if he was trying to save Gail or Sydney or something, and then, like, I don't know, like he steps in and maybe like Ghostface stabs him. But the fact that it was just because he got distracted for like 2 seconds and then he gets stabbed, I was like, you know what, don't make me click off this movie. But anyway, that was like the one part that actually bothered me, and I was just like, ugh. I was like, why did they do that to him? um and I honestly wonder, like, what the actor thinks too. Like, what if he read the script and was like, "Really? This is how you're gonna kill Dewey after everything that he's been through? Really?" You guys, let me know what you thought, because I thought that was really dumb. Like, I don't know. Again, I know it's a movie and I know it's a horror movie and there's like comedy in it and everything, but that part just like really irked me. But yeah, so Dewey's gone. He's out. So at that point, it's just the core group of friends, and then Sydney and Gail. And what was really sad though was like, um obviously you guys know, like, if you've been watching it from the beginning, you know that Gail and Dewey always had a thing. Like, he pretty much was like into her from the moment he saw her. And I guess that, at some point they got married. I don't know if they got married like more than once. I'm trying to remember what happened with the second and the third. I think they were like on and off a little bit, but they ended up getting married. And then in this one you find out that I think they're divorced, or at least separated or something. And he's watching her, like, there's a scene where he's like watching her on the news, and then he calls Sydney to tell her that, like, the killings are happening again, and that Ghostface is back and stuff like that. But it's clear that they still like love each other, especially Dewey. Like, he's always been crazy about her. And so the scene where they're taking his body out of the hospital, like, of course the police show up after everything has happened. I'm like, y'all, a little too late. And they have they have him in a body bag, so they're not showing his face or anything. But I guess Gail just knew. I think she just maybe instinctually knew that, like, it was him, or that something was off. Because I'm assuming that must have been her that was trying to text him or something. I don't know, but they're bringing him out in the body bag, and she breaks down, has a fit and everything. And that part was sad, because like I said, like, just the way he went out, and the fact that they didn't really have the best conversation before he died. When she seen him, they were talking, and it was kind of like, just a lot of things left unsaid. Probably like a lot of unresolved issues and emotions between them. And like I said, there's still love there, and they clearly still care about each other. But it seems like, from what I remember, that he broke it off. But I think it was more because he felt like he wasn't good enough for her, or it was something where, like, she went off to do a job and he followed her there, and I guess he felt like he didn't fit in. So they probably went to like New York, or like a big city or something. And I think for Dewey, he was kind of just like, well, this isn't like working for me. So I guess they broke up, or they divorced or whatever. But I don't know. I was like, that's sad that they left it off like that between them, because I would have liked to see them like get back together. Like, if he had survived, I feel like they would have maybe like given it another chance or something. And I don't know. I just would have liked to see that. So that was sad to see that happen like that. And then Gail was pissed after that. She was like, "Oh no, you killed Dewey! Like, now we really coming after you. We was gonna get you before, but now we really gonna get you." So, um, I mean, they did get them, and yes, them. So there was two killers, if you didn't know. Which, again, wasn't really surprised by that, because that I feel like that's how it always goes, except for maybe in the God, I'm trying to remember. There's so much that's happened throughout all of the movies. Obviously, the first two, it was Billy and Stu. And then in the second one, it was Billy's mom and one of like Sydney's friends. Like, he was like a film student or something. So I think for the most part, it's usually been two. I think maybe in the fourth. I don't. Yeah, I don't even remember. I was gonna say maybe in the fourth one it was just the one, but no, I don't know. I think it's always kind of been two anyway. So wasn't surprised by that. I figured it was gonna be two people because I'm like the way that you know you could just tell like by the way by the rate and how fast people are getting killed and everything. I'm like, there's no way it's just one person doing this. It has to be a second person. So they revealed that it was, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the girl's name. Is her name Amber or, oh, that might not be her name. If you guys seen the movie, then you know what I'm talking about. But the one it's one of the girls in the friend group. Wasn't really wasn't really surprised that it was her because there was something off about her anyway. Um, so yeah, I was like, okay, it kind of makes sense that it's her. But then it's Richie, Sam's boyfriend. Sam's boyfriend that she met like since 6 months ago. Sam's boyfriend, the same one that was like living with her and working with her in a completely different city. I was like, what? I was like, how is it Richie? So the twist was basically, I guess, without giving all of the details because I want you guys to, well, hopefully, like if you're listening to this, hopefully you actually already seen it and I'm not like just completely spoiling it for you. But um it's better to watch it on your own than for me to just explain every single thing. But basically, the twist was that Richie knew about Sam and her past. So he knew that Sam's real dad is Billy. Billy is the first killer from the first movie, right? So he was like, and keep in mind, like Billy was crazy. So he wasn't just sleeping with Sydney, he was sleeping with other girls in the school. So it makes sense that he got somebody else pregnant. And he probably just like, I don't know if he just didn't know, if he just never found out and he died before he found out that he got another girl pregnant, or if he knew and he probably just didn't care and didn't want to take care of it because he was nuts. I don't know. But anyway, so it makes sense that he would have had a kid and stuff. So, he got killed obviously in the first one. And so Billy is Sam's real dad, and so her and Tara are sisters, but they have different dads basically. And so Tara didn't know that, and she ends up telling her, is it Tara or Tara? I feel like I'm saying her name wrong, but she ends up telling her sister, um, like kind of like why she had left and when she found out about who her real dad was and everything, and how that kind of broke up their family. She felt like it broke up their family when really it was the mom, because the mom was the one that didn't ever tell the dad. But anyway, so Richie knew about all of that. Like he played like he didn't, but he knew. He had already knew about that, and he sought her out purposely because he knew that. And linked up with this other chick, and they're like obsessed with the stab movies and everything. So it kind of really comes down to them just being obsessed with the stab movies, I think more so than the whole like having a connection to Billy and everything. I think that was kind of just the icing on the cake. But I think for them, like in their mind, it was more so like, oh, like we, which is so dumb by the way, but it's like we're so obsessed with the stab movies and stab 8 was horrible and now we got to bring it back and like do it better, or try to, I don't know, try to like what's the word I'm looking for, kind of like give the franchise what it should have gotten with this eighth movie. Because remember I said they talked about Stab 8 and they were like Stab 8 was horrible and it didn't, whatever, like it didn't do the franchise justice and it had nothing to do with other movies. And so they're crazy, so they're like, oh, we got to bring Ghostface back and do it right and blah blah blah. And I think they kind of maybe like hoped or knew that like Sydney would be pulled back into it or something like that. But yeah, nuts. They're absolutely nuts. So I was like, kind of surprised by that. Like, I mean, it makes sense. It falls into the whole trope of like, watch out for the love interest. Because I think Dewey did warn her ahead of time that, like, sometimes it's like the people that you like are closest to that end up being the villain, which, but keep in mind, she's only known him like 6 months. So she don't even know him that well. Like, yes, that's her boyfriend, but like, she didn't know him like all that anyway. But he just ended up knowing all of this stuff about her that she never knew, and he's a complete stalker. Because for you to know that about somebody and then like find them and then try to date them and all that and like plan all of this, I'm like, you're not right in the head to be able to even do all that. And then the other girl, she seemed like just a follower, to be honest. Like I feel like he was probably the mastermind behind it for sure, but I think she was just like following, probably like following in his lead and stuff and everything like that. I don't know, but anyway, it ended up being them two, and of course they got because nobody that is anybody that has ever been Ghostface never survives. And I'm like, have y'all not learned at this point? Like for Scream 6, now listen, so whoever is Ghostface in Scream 6 might actually be, I don't know. He or she might be different. They might be different. They might be able to like last a little bit longer. But I swear, everybody that's been Ghostface in all these movies gets killed. So I'm like, what are you doing with your life? Like, you have to know, and they have to know that if they've been following the murders, if they've been following the movies, that Ghostface never wins in the end. So why would you want to be Ghostface? Like I do not understand that. But anyway, I guess I won't complain because then that gives us more Scream movies, right? But yeah, nuts. So now I'm wondering if that will be another, if they'll kind of use that same reason for Scream 6, you know what I mean? Because in the trailer there's a scene where they show like all the like Ghostface costumes and mask and everything, and they go in there as a group and they're like, what the heck is this? And Gail's like, oh, this is a shrine. So I don't know if that's something that somebody built or if that was like for the Stab movies or whatever. But anyway, them hinting at a shrine and everything gives me like obsessive. It gives me like, it's somebody that's obsessed with the Stab movies or somebody that's obsessed with all the murders that have happened. It's somebody that's wanting maybe to like recreate it, or I don't know. So it's something, I feel like it'll be probably something along those lines again. Could be wrong. I don't know, because they could go into a completely different direction. Because like I said, I feel like this one will be probably the most different out of all the Scream films. Um but yeah, I'm always curious about what the motive is gonna like I'm curious about who it's going to be, but more so about the motive. Like, is it because it goes back to what happened with Sydney and Billy and all that stuff, or is it something else? Is it just somebody who's like crazy and obsessed with the movies and all that? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it could go either way, or it could be something completely different. I don't know. But I'm curious to know, and I want to know what you guys think too. So, again, leave a comment down below. Let me know, like, your thoughts, your theories. Let's talk about it because I'm excited to watch Scream 6. And I'm more excited now that I've seen Scream 5 and I'm, caught up on the films and I understand, what happened with Tara and Sam and everything, and why Sam was basically saying she has a darkness in her because of who her father is and everything. And I think that's something she's clearly always feared, probably being scared of, being like him or becoming like him or doing the same things that he did or going crazy or what, or just whatever. Or maybe like her having a kid and the kid turns out to be like Billy, who knows. Um but yeah, so in the trailer, it looks like they're in New York or they're in some big city. So they're definitely not in Woodsboro. So again, I'm curious to know if this is going to kind of follow along with like how like Scream 5 followed kind of more so with the first Scream. So I'm wondering if with 6 they'll kind of follow with Scream 2, if that makes sense. Like if maybe, I don't know, if her sister is going off to college and they all go to New York together, or if they're just going on a trip or something, for them to be in a whole different city, um, that already makes it completely different, right? Because they're in a completely different setting, and it looks like whoever this Ghostface is does not care because he's literally like going after them in front of other people, like other like random people, and he's never, I feel like in the other movies he never really did that. It was always like get somebody alone and then kill them, or he's going after like a core group of people, like a certain, you know what I mean? It's never like out in the open. It's always like you have to be by yourself and then you get got. But in this case, it looks like he's gonna be going after people no matter where they are, like on the subway and in the convenience store, like on the sidewalk. Like I don't know. Somebody was like, I think that was who was that said that? I was watching so there's a YouTube channel called Struggle Nation, and I watch their YouTube videos all the time. They do like movie reviews and like TV reviews. They're hilarious. Check them out if you haven't seen them. And one of the guys was like, he was like, this ain't Scream no more. This is Hollow. Like this is different. This is for real about to be different. And I honestly think that too. So um I'm looking forward to it, and I'm definitely looking forward to like talking about it with you guys. And yeah, we're gonna keep this rolling. I'm gonna be bringing back Scream, so this will definitely be a topic or a subject for another episode. I don't know if I'll yeah, I don't know if I'll do the whole theory thing. I don't know if that really deserves to be a an episode on its own. You guys can let me know what you think. I feel like maybe if I had guests or people on here to talk with me, it would be a little bit better instead of me just like yelling at y'all like I do every single week. But yeah, so probably the next time I talk about Scream, it'll probably be for Scream 6 when it comes out. Um, and yeah, we'll kind of continue this conversation. So this will be an ongoing discussion for sure. And you guys can let me know what you think. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. And it's so funny because now I'm like, I look back at like all the different episodes that I've done, or a lot of the subjects that I've been talking about have been horror. And I'm like, at this point, should I just turn this into a horror podcast? Because that's what I feel like I've been talking about. And it's not intentional. I'm not like going into it going, okay, I'm going to talk about something like scary today. It's really just whatever, like whatever I'm interested in or what I'm, what has caught my eye and stuff like that. So I guess it's been horror movies lately, and like I don't know why. It's funny. Maybe I'm just changing. I'm getting older. I don't know. But like I said, I do want to get back into TV shows. It's just like a lot of the shows that I was watching earlier, like last year, are all on hiatus, like Barry, Stranger Things. Um, Bridgerton is coming back, and then the spinoff is. Oh my god, I cannot wait till that comes out. I think I might be more excited for that than Bridgerton, the next season. To be honest, the prequel is going to be. I think that's going to be really really good. So that could be a potential episode by episode discussion that I do on here. You guys can let me know what you think or what you would like to see me discuss. Maybe as like these shows start coming back, I can do a poll or something, and then you guys can vote and see like which one you want me to discuss or whatever like that, or which one you want me to talk about first, and then I'll do that. Um, and then yeah, and then we'll take it from there. But yeah, I feel like I've been talking about nothing but horror. So if you guys aren't a fan of horror, I'm sorry, but that's just what I've been interested in lately. Like I don't know, you guys got to tell me what you want me to talk about. Otherwise, I'll just like go into my own. I'll go into my own world. Um, but anyway, I'm going to be wrapping up this episode. This has been really fun talking about Scream, my favorite horror franchise. And like I said, we will keep this as like kind of an ongoing discussion because I will be bringing this back up again. So be ready when Scream 6 come out. Make sure you're all caught up so we can all talk about the movies together. And before I go, I just did want to remind you guys that my podcast is sponsored by Stream Media. So again, you can check them out at studio.stream.com if you kind of want to create your own podcast or do some type of live streaming. And then you can also follow them on the socials on Instagram and Facebook, and I believe they're on LinkedIn as well. So that way you can keep up to date with any new features or anything new that they're coming out with, or really just I guess whatever they're working on, then you'll kind of get first dibs on what's going on. And then you'll also hear it from me as well too. So yeah, I think I'm gonna stop there because I feel like I've been talking for quite a while. But anyway, hope you guys have a good week, and I will meet y'all back here on Saturday at 1 o'clock p.m. Um, let's see. Okay, I was gonna say something, but I feel like I'll just leave it out. It's kind of a surprise, but sort of not, but kind of is, if that makes sense. I'm just not gonna say anything. I'm just gonna leave it at there. I will see you guys next week. Peace out.